Good evening and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall, joined by Andrew Manning, Adam Martin once again. We are hours, minutes, seconds away till the 2023 NFL Draft kicks off. 1 o'clock tonight, the Houston Texans, sorry, not the Houston Texans at all, the Carolina Panthers will be on the clock. And we are bringing you our first mock draft. We're going to do this as we're all going to discuss it and sort of agree on it. We're not going to alternate picks or anything like that. This is the official Franchise Tag mock draft. And we've been talking a lot about the mocks in the last few episodes of the betting show on Tuesday night, which was really good. So make sure you go and catch that as well. We've been talking all things mock draft, and there's lots of players that we're very excited to see get drafted tonight. It's going to be a really fun night. Like I said, you should have by now booked off Friday. I know some people haven't, and some people on this video definitely haven't either, but I have. However, I am going to be busy tomorrow because we've got a very special interview coming your way very soon. More to come on that very soon for you. Andrew, Adam, very exciting times. The NFL draft is only around the corner. Andrew, as a college fanatic, you must be pretty buzzed, right?
Yeah, I always look forward to it. I always get really excited for it. As I've said, it's nice the people you've watched all year to see where they're going to go. And then some of the ones that you were a bit hotter on than anybody else, and seeing them get picked earlier than expected. It's just so much more fun. But this year is such a weird one, and there seems to be a lot of drama surrounding it. So very, very interested in this year's. Very hard to predict.
Adam, are you excited to stay up really late just to watch the Green Bay Packers take an O-lineman or D-lineman?
Hell yeah, you know it's going to happen. It's always the O-line and the D-line with the Packers. So yeah, should be fun. I'm absolutely knackered already, so this can only end well. So yeah, it's going to be fun. Lots of chaos in this one. Like rumours everywhere, trades everywhere. They reckon it's going to happen. So exciting, could be an exciting one.
Yeah, me and Andrew were talking about some of the trades that may potentially happen, some of the rumours that have come out today, as well as things that have been probably reinforced by the betting odds. But without further ado, let's get that screen up to get our mock draft kicked off. I mean, Carolina Panthers will be on the clock at 1 o'clock. And I'm going to do this on behalf of all of us. Bryce Young, number one pick. I think we all agree on that.
Not Will Levis. No, you're not going Will Levis.
I mean, the alternative mock draft is something we do sometimes, but this year it has not happened. Unfortunately, we just haven't had time. But Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama.
It still wouldn't be Will Levis, would it?
So yeah, let's get Bryce Young on the board. Now, the rumors today are that the quarterbacks are not in Houston Texans' minds. They're not that bothered about them outside of Bryce Young, or maybe they're not even bothered about Bryce Young. A lot of Tyree Wilson talk, a lot of Will Anderson talk. Who do we think is going to be going here then?
So I wouldn't say they're not in their mind. I just don't think they're in their mind at pick 2, by the sound of it. I think they're going to go defense is what it feels like to me. There's been significant movement for Will Anderson in the betting. So I get the feeling that that's probably where they're going to go. Having said that, as I've said before, Lance Sirloin got it right for the last 4 years, and he's gone for Tyree Wilson. So,
what do you reckon, Andrew?
I've kept very quiet, obviously, when you brought us up, because I'm really struggling to comprehend the fact that they'd turned down the opportunity to take CJ Stroud. I think it's crazy that just because he scored poorly on a cognitive test, that all of a sudden he turns into the worst quarterback in the world, despite the tape on him is just insane. As there's been lots of rumors that, Texans might go next year, I think that's risky business as well. You've got to make sure you definitely get Williams next year if that's the case. So I still think CJ Stroud's the pick, but I know that's not the census of everyone else. So I'm going to leave this to you guys to lock in this pick on you and leave me out of it.
I mean, there's also the Texans have said it isn't anything to do with it, but CJ Stroud does have the same agent as Deshaun Watson as well, which apparently the Texans are not too fussed about that. But apparently they said that's no problem at all. By the way, anyone who is watching this video, please post in the comments as well if you agree, disagree with us, or maybe who you'd like to see be taken with this pick as well, as we are live. I'm really struggling to get my arms around this, it being a defensive player. I just think it is smoke and mirrors still a little bit, and I think it would be incredibly idiotic for you not to take CJ Stroud this pick. But it is the Houston Texans, so I'm going to go Tyree Wilson with Adam and seal it in there because I just think it's ridiculous. But it seems to be what everyone is now thinking they're turned to.
Yeah,
I find that crazy as well. That's why I kept out of this. I find it crazy if you're not going quarterback. Why are you not going Will Anderson?
Yeah.
You know,
and this is like the Trevor Walker suddenly being number one pick last year. It was like Trevor Walker was nowhere near it, and then suddenly 2 weeks before it was like Walker was bop over Aiden Hutchinson, and it was like how?
I understand they've got like upside potential, high ceiling, they're freak athletes, but you know he's a proven. Will Anderson's just proven on field, off field stud. So why turn that down over a prospect that could turn out brilliant? I don't get it. But you guys want to lock in? I'm going to have to scroll down quite far for this because I know nowhere near the top of the list.
While he's scrolling down and taking a look for him, I take it we're probably going to do no trades because it just gets a bit complicated with all the trades. So we won't do that. So we'll go on to the Arizona Cardinals pick. If Tyree's gone, I mean, on the night, I think they've already taken phone calls apparently today for this pick. So on the night, I do think they may trade out of this pick. DeAndre Hopkins might be in that package as well, maybe. But we're keeping them there for now. I mean, I'm going to go with what this has been for the last 2 months, Will Anderson here for me.
It's changed today, hasn't it? Isn't there a load of chats that it might be offensive tackle now?
So, yeah, there's a lot going around that is going to be O-line that they need to protect Kyler Murray. Paris Johnson is the preferred guy. Apparently he had a really good visit at the Cardinals and they really like him. He is more favoured to be the third pick than what Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson is if you look at the betting odds. So it does feel very much like this is something that could happen. I find it difficult to give up Will Anderson on this one personally.
Yeah, you can't go the whole off season saying blue chip player, and then go, we'll just pick a load of people before him. Just crazy. So we're all locking in Will Anderson at that point.
All locking in.
Yeah.
Now we go on to the Colts pick. Now the Colts pick a couple of weeks ago was like they love Will Levis. And then Anthony Richardson had a great combine. It was like, well, Anthony Richardson could be in the top 5 now. And then it was like, well, CJ Stroud's really good. He's gone up. And now with the Texans not even looking at CJ Stroud, it feels like they've got 3 options here. Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. I mean, 4 technically with Hendon Hooker as well. And CJ Stroud. I mean, Hendon Hooker I don't think is going to go this big. Gareth, who is part of the Franchise Tag podcast, has commented saying, I still think it'll be Will Levis. I still think Will Levis will be a massive mistake. The rum is clearly hitting Gareth, as he's told us he has started already. Bless him. Maybe he won't get that number 1 pick. He can't even write properly. I really struggle to put Will Levis in this spot, but it feels like a lot of people are mocking him there. I want CJ Stroud in this spot. What are you two guys thinking?
I agree.
Yeah, well, I agree. Yeah. Again, I left the pause for someone else to come in because I'm just going to keep saying CJ Stroud until he's picked.
No, I agree. I think the one thing that I think a lot of people are not realizing is that the reason that the Colts have probably never really mentioned CJ Stroud is because they probably never thought that he was going to be available to them. One thing that I did read earlier on today that accuracy is a massive importance to the Colts. That's one thing that they have been going on about all the time. Everyone kind of felt like that was about Will Levis because CJ Stroud was going to be gone. If CJ Stroud isn't gone, I think I'd rather be going for CJ Stroud if you're looking for someone who's accurate. And the other thing is like, I know that they go on about the Colts and how they always have big quarterbacks. CJ Stroud isn't small. You know, I mean, he's not Will Levis, but he's not. Yeah, exactly. And he is a good pocket passer. But the difference is he can also be useful when it comes to the run game as well. So the idea of being able to have both, I think that means that he's probably worth a bit more than what Levis is. I think that's why they'll probably go for him in the end.
Yeah, he's 6'3". He's 215 pounds, isn't he? You know, he's a big guy still. He's NFL sized, so.
Let's get CJ Stroud picked in here. Then we move on to the Seattle Seahawks. The rumored Anthony Richards spot, but also a defensive player spot, apparently. So what do you reckon, Adam, with this pick with the Seahawks?
I think it's going to be basically Jalen Carter or Anthony Richardson. It's very much dependent on what they think. If they feel that they've got a chance to go all out and get themselves this stud quarterback that they can sort of, get into the right place within a few years, and the idea is that they're never going to be down at this point again, then Richardson makes sense. If you're happy with Geno and you think that he's the guy who can get you a lot further, and to be honest, the way he was playing last year, you kind of feel like he's got a good shout at it in a very weak NFC, then you got to load up in the positions that you're kind of missing out on. And to me, Jalen Carter feels like the obvious one. The only thing I would say about it is that it does come across from what I've seen that Devon Witherspoon is the guy that they really like, and that they might go down that route instead. To me, I just think you go for arguably the best player in the draft with Jalen Carter.
And what's your opinion, Andrew?
Yeah, I think it's Jalen Carter. I've had Jalen Carter locked in at this point on a lot of my mock drafts for ages. Previously showed you guys a bet that I had on this, that they're already offering me quite a considerable lot more than I put on the bet to cash out on it. So
cash out.
I'm just waiting to see if it goes up anymore. But that would indicate to me that the bookies must know something that we don't. Otherwise, they wouldn't be giving me that much to cash out on it. So I think Jalen Carter's probably a safe bet for this one. I think they're quite all right in the secondary at the moment.
That's definitely, we're going to lock in that pick then, because I'm going Jalen Carter as well. There's much I'd like to see him to drop to the Lions. Again, we're on Detroit Lions, pick here, number 6. Bing mocked a cornerback for a really long time. One of two picks, obviously. I mean, this for me is a Devon Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez pick. I've always gone Gonzalez here. However, I'm starting to waver towards Devon Witherspoon maybe going to this pick.
Yeah, it's the odds again, isn't it? Because we've been talking about the cornerbacks and how we rate them and things like that. And both me and Adam have both said we think Gonzalez is the better of the two. We think he's cornerback 1 of the draft. But it seems like Witherspoon fits their program a little bit better. And as we said, the odds are pointing in the favor of him as well. So I think you've got to lean towards Witherspoon, even if personally you think Gonzalez is the better choice there.
Yeah, I like Gonzalez a lot. I think he's very good, but Witherspoon just plays angry, and that's very, very Dan Campbell and how they want to play. So it just makes more sense to me that that's what they'll go for. And as Andrew said, it all kind of points towards him anyway. So yeah, for me, I think Witherspoon will be going to Detroit.
I must have to say though, it is a win-win situation. Taking either of them is a win. It's not one of these cases where you could get it wrong. I think it doesn't really matter.
As Jeff Reinball said on our show the other week, he thought it would be Devon Witherspoon. Well, on Monday, sorry, he thought it would be Devon Witherspoon as well. So we're going to lock in Devon Witherspoon here, cornerback out of Illinois. We'll move on to the Las Vegas Raiders at number 7. Peter Skoronski is at the top of the board there. I would lean towards it. However, I don't know whether I also maybe look at a defensive player as well. With Christian Gonzalez on the board still, maybe they would think about that. But I think they've got a new quarterback in town. This could be a quarterback spot for a lot of people. But for me, I think that Jimmy Garoppolo, Adam, is Josh McDaniels' guy. He wanted him to be the heir apparent to Tom Brady in New England. I can't see this being a cute quarterback route.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I think it feels very much that Christian Gonzalez is the one for this pick. I mean, we spoke about how barren their cornerback room is. There's not a lot there. So that is the one that makes the most sense. We've been saying for ages the O-line is something that they need to improve on as well. So obviously you've got like Skoronski there, but I just feel like to be able to get Christian Gonzalez would be more. It's the Raiders, man. They just do weird stuff. And there's just that part of me that thinks that they're going to see Anthony Richardson there and they're going to do something stupid, and they'll just go for it and have him sit there and hope that it all goes well. So I do have a sort of a, it would be quite funny. I think Anthony Richardson went there. I'd quite like that. That's where I would mock him to go. But I think that the logical and sensible one is Christian Gonzalez.
I mean, this is a team that picked with their 3 first-round picks, Josh Jacobs, Clelin Ferrell and Jonathan Abrams. So this could easily be a Noah Sewell, Keely Ringo spot. Like, is the Raiders. Like, this could be really wild anywhere. But Skoronski, Andrew, people say small arms. That's what people turned off by him. But another player who got drafted with small arms, who played at the same school and got moved over by Peter Skoronski, and that was Rashawn Slater, who's been incredibly successful in the NFL. Was maybe Paris Johnson up for debate here?
I think, like with Rashawn Slater, you're going to move these guys into guard position, aren't you? And use them at that point, which is not a problem because Skoronski is the most versatile of the O-linemen. He can play anywhere. I'm just looking at their depth chart. They've got Colton Miller at left tackle, so they're not looking for a left tackle for sure. It's probably right tackle or interior that they probably want. But then, as I said, when we were talking about another team, we won't get into it in a minute, that had sparse cornerbacks. When you saw the names, you recognize them. When you look at the cornerbacks at the Raiders, they are Duke Shelley and David Long Jr. That is their cornerbacks. So I feel like they've got to address the cornerback. That is a must. They need a cornerback one. They don't need a left tackle. So I think that's for them is where they've got to go. And Gonzalez on the board is really hard to turn down.
I think I agree. You swayed me with that argument. So Christian Gonzalez, I think we can all agree. The pick here, Adam, you got a call with that?
Yeah.
Good stuff. We go to the Falcons at 8. Now, it has been heavily rumoured in the last 24 hours. This is the Bijan Robinson spot. That has been mocked a lot by people. I, for one, think, quite frankly, that's a bit ridiculous because they've got so many other holes outside of running back, especially on their defense, their whole defense for that matter, apart from AJ Terrell. Are you two going to overthrow me on this?
Yes.
What, overthrowing you on taking Bijan?
Yeah.
Oh no, we want Bijan. We want the money. Come on, we're on this bet. We want Bijan.
We'll go Bijan.
We've got Bijan going in the top 10, but I don't think Falcons is where I've got him going. When you're a team that's got a lot of holes and you've already got Algier, Patterson will be there. You know, I think they'll be okay to maybe bolster it later on with. We've said there's plenty of value at running back in round 2 and 3. To go alongside Algier, who's a bit of a tank. So surely that's not the pick here. But
what do we think the pick's going to be then?
It's definitely the pick. It's the right pick, and we want Bijan at number 8. Come on.
So you're not agreeing with Andrew. Who would you go, Andrew, here then?
Who have I got going here for a start? Should we have a look? Oh, no, I've got there, and he's already gone off the board. So that doesn't really matter. There's still value. I think they need to address the defense on this. And I think if you look at the age of their front 7, it's not great. And they're going to have to get some young blood in there. So I'd probably go best edge that's available. So let's have a quick look.
Lucas Van Ness or Nolan Smith stick out to me.
Yeah, I think sort of maybe Van Ness is like, both of them a bit of a project, aren't they? Nolan Smith's more of a guy that's going to play edge / linebacker, whereas Lucas Van Ness is probably going to play edge / defensive tackle. So I would go down best defensive player available. Doesn't matter which one of them it is, but we've got a bit of a coin flip here of what we want. Fred, you've got to weigh in.
I mean, I had Lucas Van Ness going here for months prior to like last month. I just hate Bijan going here at 8. I just hate it. I don't see it. There's been a lot of movement today with him going there. I think it would be. This is not about me disliking Bijan Robinson. It's me hating the pick for the Falcons because they do need running back. They need loads of things, but this is not their priority. It should absolutely not be their priority. I think we should go Lucas Van Ness because he has diversity to play across the line for the defensive line.
Should we have a little look? So, yeah, they got Calais Campbell, the only edge rusher they've got, and then they've got Buddy Free now, haven't they, for at linebacker / sort of edge if he wants to move into that. But so yeah, it's probably Lucas Van Ness that fits better. I just think 8 is maybe a bit of a reach for Van Ness. Adam,
do you want what we want or what's going to happen?
Well,
both.
The bookies
okay.
say
If you want what's going to happen, I mean, I would say Bijan, but you don't want to go down there, which is fine. So if you want to go for edge rusher, I think Nolan Smith. He seems to be the guy that a lot of teams are liking at the moment. He's from Georgia. I think that will be a reason to split the two. To be honest, something like that. So I think Nolan Smith's probably the one if you want to go edge, but you're wrong. I'm just saying you're wrong. It's going to be Bijan.
I'm going to go Nolan then. I can back Nolan Smith going there.
I can as well.
There we go. On to Bears at number 9. This sticks out as a really easy pick for me. I think Peter Skronsky. I mean, that's the pick, isn't it? I don't think we need to really whittle on that much longer because great tackle. They need to help Justin Fields in that offensive line. They have a lot of holes, but a player like Skronsky falling to 9 for the Bears, they're going to be absolutely ecstatic with that. Also got... like I said, a lot of work to do on that team, but that's going to be a really good pick, so we can just cement that right in there. We go to number 10 with the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, don't like it, but this is my Bijan Robinson spot.
This is my Bijan Robinson spot. Obviously not Adams.
No, because it's not what they do.
Well, what Pete Schrager, he's got in my head. He's in there. He's saying,
"Yeah, well, God, of all the people to get in your head,
when everyone
poor guy."
I just
it's a Pete Schrager world, and we're just living in it.
That comment, I just can't get out of my head. Whenever everyone zigs, they zag, and I'm just like, yeah, everyone expects them not to go for this. Maybe they will.
They do the same all the time. They go edge, they go defensive line, they go O-line. That's what it'll be.
I think the smart pick is Paris Johnson, personally. But...
Yeah, Paris Johnson would be a good pick in this one. I think they're probably more. I don't know. I mean, I think, like I say, it's D-line, O-line. I think is probably where they will go. Having said that, we need Bijan to be in the top 10, so I will accept it for this mock draft if it means that I win money.
Let's get Bijan in that top 10. Then.
There you go. I mean, I hate it because he's going to the Eagles, but yes.
The number 11 pick, the Tennessee Titans. This pick is one that I am changing on my final mock tonight because I've not had this position going to them at all. I would like to go Anthony Richardson here.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand. I think there's a very strong chance that he trades up. That they trade up for him, isn't there? That does feel like it's something that they could go for. That makes sense. If not, I think it's O-line. I think O-line is probably the sensible pick. They need to just, they need to sort that out. So that's like, but yeah, I completely understand why Anthony Richardson would make sense.
Just a little sign. Jake Lazer's just put a tweet out saying little NFL draft scoopage. Originally, the Bears were trading that top pick with the Houston to go to number 2. Then Chicago had a deal pretty much worked out with Carolina to go from 2 to 9. Looked like it was going to happen. Then Houston sources say they just couldn't get part of the deal done. So Bears made the eventual move with Panthers, who now have their guy. Young would likely have been the guy for the Texans. Instead, he'll go to Carolina. What could have been? I mean, the Texans still might potentially get their quarterback at, a quarterback at 12, maybe not their quarterback. Sorry, Andrew, what were you thinking with this Titans pick?
I think it's definitely O-line, this pick here. For me, that's what it was at. I was torn between O-line and wide receiver. Quarterback wasn't on my mind at this point at all. I think Tannehill's not horrendous. I know there was a bit of fallout with them drafting Malik Willis, but he's not horrendous. He can get the job done. They can still use him for a couple more years if they want to sit on it and wait or get someone else. But I do understand all the hype about them maybe going quarterback. It is now the favorite with the bookies, isn't it, for them to go quarterback? But I think we've still got Paris Johnson on the board, so I can't turn that down. For me at O-line, you're going to need young O-line to protect the future, whoever it is.
I think that's you and Adam overruling me then and going with Paris Johnson at that pick.
Okay.
Adam, do you agree, Adam?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I say, I think they could go either way. I think it's very much, it just depends whether they want to make the big splash, doesn't it, for Richardson? But if they do, they're going to have to move up for him. So I think in this particular one, it kind of makes sense to go Paris Johnson.
They upset the apple cart big time last year, though, didn't they? When they got Malik Willis, Tannehill literally threw his teddies out big time. So what would happen if they drafted someone that they needed to sit for a year again?
And I know secretly that we all want the Richardson to fall to the second Seahawks pick, so that what we said would happen months ago would be quarterback, defensive line. We said that was all our 3 predictions months ago, and we've kept to that for the most part. So we'll go Paris Johnson here. I feel like you've swayed into that direction. So we move on to the Houston Texans pick at 12. They took Tyree Wilson at 3. Is this the Will Levis spot?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're not going quarterback with the first pick, it's got to be, hasn't it? There's no point picking a wide receiver because they'll have no one to throw it.
Yeah,
I think So let's go the Will Levis. I mean, imagine drama if the Texans traded back for DeAndre Hopkins. That'd be hilarious. Just to get some receivers in their room. So we'll go Will Levis here. Is it fair? Is it a bit unfair at how little people are talking about Will Levis? Because I feel like Will Levis is not being talked about by anybody at all.
I think it's unfair.
Okay.
Because Adam said this to me, when you've not really been kind about Will Levis at all through this process. I mean, I don't dislike him. And the hype about him prior to the college season just gone was really good. And he started the season great. And then he got injured. And he didn't have thousands of tools around him. He made some dodgy mistakes. But, I think that we are playing him down, because no one's saying he's not first round talent. They're just saying he's not the first pick. So I think we're playing him down of his talents, and I think he could do a job somewhere and maybe be better than expected.
Now, this pick, the Green Bay Packers, Adam's pick 13 since their trade with Aaron Rodgers, has now officially gone through. Adam, a very happy man. He wanted it to happen. Do you think you got the right compensation? Do you think you fleeced the Jets, or what do you think about it?
I think if he stays fit, then we've fleeced the Jets. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be next year's first rounder. I the way it was talking, it felt very much like I think I came out and said, was it 2 seconds? I said was what I kind of felt like it would be good. So like second this year, second next year. So to get a probable first next year. The second this year, and to move up on this one. I know there was a few, there was a 5th and a 6th, didn't there, from either side as well involved in it. But it feels like it was quite a good deal that they managed to get. Now it just depends where they go with it.
Well, I know where you want them to go, and he's at the top of the screen just there, and that's Jackson Smith-Njigba. I would like this pick. This is who I would like to pick.
I think Michael Mayer's the pick, because I just can't get, locked that in early and just can't get past it. But don't dislike Jackson Smith-Njigba being taken.
I think it's fair for this mock for whoever supports the team to choose who the player they take. Do you think that's fair?
Yes.
He's thinking about the long game.
He's thinking about long game. What will I get with the Giants pick? Go on then, Adam. You pick Jackson Smith-Njigba.
I will take Jackson Smith-Njigba. The one thing I am going to say, it's not going to happen. It won't. I'm fairly confident it's going to be Darnell Wright or Myles Murphy. That's who I think it's going to be. So it depends if they go O-line or D-line, but that's where I think it will be. I don't think they'll go Michael Mayer, because I think they will think they can get themselves a tight end with one of them 2 picks in the second round. So I think that's where they'll probably go. But yeah, I would really like it to be Jackson Smith-Njigba, but it's the Green Bay Packers and they don't do that.
Yeah, but they might want to really piss Rodgers off.
Well, I mean, that would be nice, wouldn't it? But,
I would love that. Let's get Jackson Smith-Njigba pushed in there. Number 14, the New England Patriots. Loads of directions I think this could go. Loads of directions. I want to hear your 2 opinions first, and then maybe I'll be swayed in where I think.
I think isn't Corner favourite. I think for this one,
I think Corner's something that no one's been talking about with them, and yet it makes complete sense.
Corner is the third favourite for them. It's O-line, wide receiver, cornerback.
Okay, so well, if they're going to go O-line, then that kind of feels very much like Broderick Jones, something like that. That would make most sense. Wide receiver, I feel like if you've just seen Jackson Smith and Jigba go, then I don't really know who you're going for at that point. It feels a little bit like you're sort of pushing on one of them in order to do it. I'm not sure. It's the Patriots. It could go anywhere.
What do you reckon, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I've been plugging for offensive tackle at this since day one. I don't think they've got a problem at cornerback, and they're not in the market to go after cornerback one. I think Jonathan Jones is a perfectly good enough cornerback one. I think Jack Jones and Marcus Jones are equally good enough to support that as a cast. So I've been all in on offensive tackle. If it wasn't that, I thought they needed a bit more up front. I think bar sort of Dietrich Wise, they haven't got a lot of edge rusher. So I thought that might be maybe an area they might want to address, but they haven't got an offensive tackle under the age of 30 of any merit. So you've got to address that now, I think. And with the names that are on the board, there's still, Broderick Jones is still there. So I think that's a perfect pick for them.
From one Jones to the next Jones to the next Jones to a new Jones, Broderick Jones. I agree with this. I think Broderick Jones is the pick here for me as well. I like the sway between corner. I think you're right. I mean, Deonte Banks, I don't mind here, but I think Broderick Jones makes the most sense really in this pick.
To protect Mac Jones.
Again, to protect Mac Jones, yeah, and another Jones. To the New York Jets picking out at 15. Wouldn't shock me on the night if they traded down from this spot as well, to be honest with you, because I think there's still some peripheral large talent there that people may go up and try and get. Anthony Richardson being one of them, maybe, if people don't want him to fall. The Jets here, I mean, I would have gone the offensive line, but now we're getting a bit thin. I mean, Darnell Wright is the one that I would probably say here. What do you think to that?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. O-line is a massive favourite, has been for ages, makes complete sense. I think Darnell Wright is the best O-line guy on the board, isn't he? Left. So, yeah, I think that's the way forward.
Yeah, they don't need masses of pieces in this team, do they? They've kind of like got quite a good squad, a good roster. And I think we saw what's happened to them previous 2 years when Mekhi Becton gets injured. That O-line kind of falls apart a little bit. And we don't know what we're going to see from Mekhi Becton this year because he's been out for so long. So why not shore it up and go out and get someone bolster that O-line, because it's a luxury pick really, isn't it?
Let's get Darnell Wright started in there then. So to pick number 16, with the Washington Commanders. I think with how the board is falling now, I mean, they've not picked up the 5th-year option on Chase Young, which is a really interesting one. Doesn't mean he's leaving. They've just not picked up the 5th-year option. So maybe I would have gone corner here. I mean, Deonte Banks is screaming out at me here. But would they maybe thinking about maybe a Kalijah Kancey, maybe a Miles Murphy here? What do you reckon, Andrew?
Well, it's not that long ago that yourself, Freddie, was banging on about how they had the best young front seven in the NFL, and you were hyped about them. So, I think not picking up the 5th-year option, he's been injury riddled for his whole career, hasn't he, at the minute? And I think not picking up the 5th option is kind of just a safety net with that, but it does indicate that, for me, that they could move on from him. But look, they've got a good cast at that position. So they've only lost Cole Holcomb, haven't they, from that front seven. So I can't see them really going down the edge rush. I think they need help in the secondary. And I really, really don't want to say this because the 17th pick is the Steelers. But what is help in the secondary, I think Joey Porter fits perfectly for them. I've forced Deonte Banks into it on my mock draft because I want Porter to go to the Steelers. But I think he fits what they're looking for a bit better.
Yeah, kind of agree, to be honest. I mean, cornerback is the favourite as well. O-line is another area that they might want to go, but all the best ones have kind of gone now. So I feel like corner is the spot. I would probably say that Joey Porter is better than Deonte Banks. I think it's pretty pretty tight, to be honest. But I do feel like that's probably where it is. So yeah, kind of agree. Sorry.
Well, that's fine. That's okay. It's okay. It'll be Joe Porter then, because I agree. If that's what the right direction it's going in, then I can only agree with that, really, because then if that was Joe Porter there, we go on to the Steelers pick at 17, and I think it's Deonte Banks then. I don't think there's not an offensive lineman worth maybe taking. I think you could still, the Steelers could take someone like Osiris Torrance with the 32nd, hopefully. I mean, I think the way we're going, he's probably going to go in the first here, maybe. I think there's places he could go towards the end of the first round. But if Joe Porter's going to the Washington Commanders there, 17, it's got to be Deonte Banks. We need corner. We can't rely on Patrick Peterson being there for that long. We've lost people like Cam Sutton this year. It's been the area that an O-line's been where we've been weakest most in the O-line. There's just not the first round pick caliber player there for me. So I'm going to go Deonte Banks here straight away.
I agree. I think he fits the system. I like him at the Steelers as well. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Joey Porter, but it's not a bad sort of option, you know. Yeah. So it's just the name, really. But yeah, I mean,
he hasn't got
I think people are being more sentimental about the Joe Porter thing than I am, to be honest with you.
Well, I think what I like about it as well is the couple of things I didn't like about Deonte Banks at college, you know, a bit handsy, you know, things like that. He's got Patrick Peterson now to teach him and show him the NFL way. Doesn't need to be amazing straight off the bat. He can learn from a very experienced, talented veteran and clean up that and be fantastic. So he fits well there.
Okay, let's get Deonte Banks in this pick here. Number 18, Detroit Lions, who took Devin Witherspoon with the 6th pick early on. So they've got their cornerback sorted here. I can't really see their needs, unfortunately, what I've listed on there. But for me, I've had Kalijah Kancey slotted into this spot for a long time.
I think it's for me. I still think it's a reach on Kalijah Kancey. I think Lucas Van Ness is still on the board, isn't he?
Good point. Good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
you know, can play both. So I think Lucas Van Ness is a good shot here. I also like Myles Murphy as well. I'm very hot on him. I just think I'm hotter on him than everybody else. So
yeah, the only I do wonder if tight end is something that they might go for after getting rid of Hockenson. I do wonder if going out and getting Michael Mayer, it might be what they look at in my point of view, because I think they would value that blocking tight end quite a lot as well. I think that's something that would go down very well, especially to join that O-line and to really, you know, make that run game almost unbeatable to a certain extent. So I do wonder if Michael Mayer might be the one that they go for. At the same time, I get why edge. I think if you want to go edge, then it is Van Ness at the moment over Kancey. But yeah, either one of them I think is decent.
I'm back in. I'm on the Lucas Van Ness train now. You've completely changed my mind. I completely forgot you're still on the board, to be honest with you. But like I said, with that versatility to move around that defensive line, I think the Lions are going to love that. And that, you know, the defense was their weakness last year. They had a good offense going on, and they can still get a good tight end in the second round if they still have a second round pick. I can't remember if they do or not. But so I'm happy to go Lucas Van Ness here. I love that.
Yeah, Dan Campbell as well, isn't it? You know, leave the offense, just plug up this defense.
Yeah. On to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 19. Now, with Anthony Richardson here, it could pose an interesting pick. The problem is it then ruins us having Anthony Richardson going at 20. So what do you two think might happen here? Convince me what you think might happen.
I personally think I've completely Todd Bowles. There you go. I'd forgotten his name, but I've remembered it. Todd Bowles, defensive-minded head coach. I think he's going to want to keep building on that defense. I don't think it's necessarily. I think it's a bit of a transitional time for Tampa Bay with Tom Brady going. Obviously, I think they keep doing that. I like Myles Murphy for this pick. This is the spot where I think it kind of makes sense for Murphy, and that's kind of, it's not the favourite pick, but I do kind of feel like that makes the most sense. They could go for Anthony Richardson. I just kind of feel that Murphy would make a bit more sense for where they are at the moment.
Yeah, I'd say that the two big needs are O-line and D-line. There's not the value at O-line anymore. That's gone, and there is value at D-line. So I'm on board with that. I think that maybe if Will Levis is available here, if he has dropped slip this far, they might take a punt on him. I'm just not sure whether they'll take a punt on Anthony Richardson. But yeah, if Miles Murphy's still on the board at this point. But Lucas Van Ness, I know he's just gone, but that would be perfect for them as well. He would be a guy that I think would suit that perfectly if he is still on the board. But yeah, Miles Murphy for me.
Yeah, I think we should go Miles Murphy here. I like that there. I really enjoy that. Which means, with no further ado, Seattle Seahawks quarterback of the future is Anthony Richardson. Surely this is what we all planned for, right?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense if he's fallen this far, doesn't it? I mean, you would go for it. I kind of like the idea of a wide receiver there. I think the idea of having three options would be great for him. Godwin left. So, they have got a bit of a spot there, but they can address that later if they want. Yeah, I think with Richardson there, it kind of makes sense that they go for it. It's almost like they've had their cake and eaten it by getting Carter at the beginning and then Richardson further down the line.
Yeah, I mean, we're going back to my December 2022 mock draft. I had this pick, so right back to the start. I should have just rolled that one out. I spoke to one of my mates who's a Seahawks fan, and he said he was quite hot on seeing what D. Eskridge could do this year. He kind of really liked him and saw a bit of glimpses because we haven't seen much of him. Who was rookie 2 years ago and then it was injured, I think. So I think with Lockett and Metcalf, I think that they're fine and can get value later on at wide receiver. So yeah, Anthony Richardson
it is. We go on to the pick 21 with the Los Angeles Chargers. I can never decide what to do with this pick. I had Bijan Robinson going here a lot of times. I would probably I don't. We had discussion the other day about tight end, and I still like the idea of a tight end going here, but I just think their defense still needs a little bit of help. I don't think guys stay fit. I think they've just plugged it in with some older talent that will get expensive. But they also need to help out Justin Herbert as well. So wide receiver could really be an option. I mean, we only had one wide receiver go so far, Jackson Smith and Jigba. So they've got a whole plethora of wide receivers to go here. I think do we like that? It just depends what wide receiver you guys think.
Yeah, I like wide receiver. I think that's the way forward for them. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are both getting a little bit older. I think it's an area they need to go down. I think, if I remember rightly, I think Carter's not there anymore. No, Palmer's still there, isn't he? But I mean, even when he did come in, when you had the injuries to the other guys, he had a couple of decent games and looked all right, but at the same time he did struggle in some others. I just think it's what they need to do. They need to replenish that wide receiver room now, and for me it's Jordan Addison. I just think he's the better of the wide receivers that are left. I know there's been a lot of talk about Zay Flowers, but I just think Addison's probably a better all-round receiver and someone that they can use in the slot.
I agree. I thought you were going to say Zay Flowers because that seems to be the way that a lot of people's mocks are going. A lot of people, the betting odds are going. A lot of hype on Zay Flowers, but I think Addison fits the bill better. I think he's going to be the perfect replacement for Keenan Allen if he moves on. I think that's a like-for-like replacement, whereas Zay Flowers is not like-for-like in terms of style of play. So I'm really happy you went down the Addison route. Again, Fred, I'm really baffled at the tight end pick. I think Gerald Everett, Parham and McKitty are all names of merit that, bringing in another guy, I don't see the value there, whereas wide receiver, you're going to need it.
Right, let's go for that Jordan Addison pick then, I think. So it's something I've been playing on in my head, really. I've got about Anton Harrison. That'd be quite a good pick for the Steelers at their 32 as well, unless he doesn't make it there, of course. The Baltimore Ravens at 22 here. Obviously, some problems with Lamar Jackson. We don't know what's going on with that. None of the quarterbacks left or maybe they go Hendon Hooker. We all love Hendon Hooker here. Maybe we could pencil Hendon Hooker in here.
It's one pick too early for Hendon Hooker for me.
Oh, you think Hendon Hooker's going to go the Vikings? Do you? So, what we're saying with that? The Ravens pick I struggle with as well a lot of the time.
I thought the Ravens.
I think wide receiver personally. But
I think the Ravens pick needed to be cornerback. I thought that's where they needed to go. But after doing my mock draft, I just really struggled to find the value at cornerback at this pick, and thought, you know what, if the value isn't there for this pick and there is a better talent, then go for your next need if it's better. So I went with wide receiver because I can't rely on either Bateman or OBJ staying fit for a year. So I still think they need some more young blood in there and a wide receiver. Adam, what are your thoughts?
Who have we got a cornerback left? I do agree. I think that receiver is a big need. Like you say, it is a bit of an issue for them, but cornerback is kind of where they're favoured. Yeah, you see now. Yeah, you see now. I'm not a massive fan, I must say, but I just don't think his size is going to translate. But I know.
It's Freddie being a cornerback, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that is what.
And I'm not small. I'm not a small guy. You're smaller than me, Andrew. I don't know what you're talking about.
We're not talking about height, Fred. We're talking about his build.
Yeah.
Build. Sorry. I thought he was like teeny tiny Forbes. I was like, well, I'm not that small.
He's not height either, has he?
And he's skinny. But
he is liked by the Ravens. Apparently, it is one that they've come out and said that they do like him, and that is the favourite of where they think that they're going to go at corner. So that is like, yeah, I agree. I think receiver is something that they need. They need a different option. I actually think Zay Flowers. It is a different option for them here, and it's where you've got OBJ who. I mean, he's still decent, obviously, but he's not necessarily the quickest. I just think Flowers will be something a little bit different for him.
I can predict. I feel like where we're going with the next 4 picks. I feel like here.
Oh, you should know where we're going with Jacksonville. Come on, although you weren't on the program, so maybe not.
I wasn't on the program, but I think I know where I'm going. So I think we should go Zay Flowers with this pick.
Yeah, it fits, doesn't it? It's the different style. OBJ can make his theatrical catches, Bateman down the field, and Zay Flowers can be running around and just getting the yards after the catch when you've gotten the ball. So I like that pick.
So we go to 23, and I am just wanting to pencil Hendon Hooker in here because I want Hendon Hooker to go in the first round. There's no other reason for it. I don't think it's the right pick. I don't think it's probably the sensible pick, but I just really like it. I friggin' love Hendon Hooker. Hendon, if you're out there ever watching, we want to interview you.
Adam, you take it away because you already know that I'm on the Hendon Hooker train.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I'm really not. I don't. When you look at it, especially if you look at the odds, it's very, very split. They're very equal. You've got cornerback, quarterback, wide receiver, all the same odds. I think it's almost like best player available to a certain extent. You look at the cornerback room, we've just spoken about Emmanuel Forbes as being the next best one. It's not really where you want to go. Wide receiver, I mean, you could go for Quentin Johnson, I suppose, but I feel like a Jordan Addison is exactly what they want, and he's already gone. Yeah, I'm not against the Hendon Hooker pick. I think that Cousins is in his last year, isn't he? And that's it's something they're going to need to address. Why not, go for a guy who, realistically, as we've said before, we felt that he was going to be the Heisman Trophy winner this year if he didn't get injured. So it's not a bad move.
I like it. We're getting Hendon Hooker in there. Big Hendon Hooker fans over here on the Franchise Tag Podcast. Ride or die guy. What a great bloke. Love it. Love the pick. I'm going to say the pick, but it's Brian Branch, right? It's got to be Brian.
Oh, yeah. It's Brian Branch.
You don't even need to discuss it. I love this pick.
It's 25-1 Brian Branch. I think it's what of the odds move.
22-1 now. So
22-1 for him to get picked here.
Yesterday it was 25-1.
Well, for a safety.
I'm probably going to put a bet on that. We're putting Brian Branch here. He's going in the first round. I love it. Which means that the wide receiver that the New York Giants are taking is Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
Don't they need O-line? I thought that they need O-line, don't they?
They don't need O-line. They don't have anyone to throw it to. Danny Dimes has got all that money and he's got no one to throw it to.
he's got a plethora of people to throw it to. We've got like
it's just the same person.
More wide receivers than anybody else on the roster at the current moment in time. Just no one of really any wide receiver one merit.
Can I just quickly say they are favourite to go cornerback at the moment. It's very close between corner and wide receiver, but they're favourite to go cornerback. And I know how much you would enjoy Emmanuel Forbes on your team, so I think we should do that just for the fun of it.
No, we can't. We said he's allowed the pick. He's allowed the pick.
I do think we need to address cornerback. I really do. Later on, we could get Keely Ringo. I think that would be an absolutely fantastic pick. You know how high I am on Keely Ringo. He's going to be available later on. Got the height and the speed, everything. And we've got a Dory Jackson, Darnay Holmes, Cordell Flott was good from LSU. So I think we picked up a Warrior as well, didn't we? We got Freddie's favourite, Warrior, didn't we?
We got Emmanuel Warrior. No way.
He's awesome.
I love him. I don't care what everyone else says about him. He was amazing.
We've got some talent. It's not a must need at cornerback. I do think, get some youth in there if we lose a Dory Jackson. But I've got no issues with taking Quentin Johnson. I wish Jordan Anderson was here at this pick. But why not take a big guy? We've got a lot of sort of 6 to 6'2" guys just running about.
You've got the same guy carbon copied over and over again. That's what you've got.
Yeah. You know, someone said they didn't want to take Quentin Johnson because he reminded them too much of Kenny Golladay.
And
Kenny Golladay was great when he first came into the league at the Lions. So good.
And you know what? I'm actually going to, because I said I know where our next 4 picks are going. I actually know where the next 5 picks are going. Well, I know where this is going. Jerry Jones is making a splash, right?
So you say splash. It's a weapon, right? He's going weapon, whether it's tight end or running back, which I like at this pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think running back makes sense. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is sitting there. I think he's a perfect complement for Tony Pollard, and it makes complete sense to me. I get why a lot of people say tight end, obviously, because Dalton Schultz isn't there anymore, but it is a strong tight end class. You don't need to do that yet. I mean, it's a strong running back class as well, so you could argue you could go both ways, but I just feel that Gibbs is just that bit
outside Bijan and Gibbs. There's a drop off. We mentioned that's a whole different style of back, and he's probably got the best hands and a catching ability out of all of the guys that we're talking about on this top end. So would complement Pollard really, really well. And there was a lot of fantasy buzz about Jake Ferguson, wasn't there? Tight end from the Cowboys. So, you know, they don't, like you say, they don't need to gamble massively on it. Like they've got no one on the roster. So, yeah, Gibbs would be great. And I think the odds are good. Did we say 9-1, 7-1 for them to take a running back?
Yeah, I can't remember what it is now. I will have a look. But yeah, it is pretty decent, and there is no market for it at the moment. Oh no, there it is. 7-1. So yeah, it's good odds for it.
Let's get Jahmyr Gibbs turned to the Cowboys then. Then the Buffalo Bill pick at 27. Still not a tight end go yet. We talked about them a lot, but they've still not been picked. I mean, that may happen in the near future. I don't know. But Buffalo Bills pick, they won't be going here. I know that for sure. I'm struggling with this one with who we've had fall, with who's now on our board. I'm really struggling. I mean, I just think Kalijah Kancey might get into the first round. That's just my opinion. This out of all the next picks is one that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Kalijah Kancey makes sense. It's the sort of logical spot for him to go to, and they seem to want to keep on, filling up that D line. So.
Yeah, and it's I'm glad we're now moving away from edge and talking about interior, because I do think that's the area they do need to address on that. Would love Cyrus Torrence to be in this spot and picked here. I think he deserves to be. Would be perfect for him to protect Josh Allen. But I personally have got Brian Brzee here. I think he's, for me, was a better talent. So like that as a pick there, but equally Kalijah Kancey if you want him. Personal preference on player, same position.
I'm going to say Kalijah Kancey. I like Brian Brazil as well. That's not me to say I don't like Brian Brazil. I feel like he's slipped into a lot of boards and going into the second round when I think he could be definitely a first round talent. The Cincinnati Bengals, is this going to be our first tight end spot? Is this going to be finally where the tight end goes? Which one's it going to be? Dalton Kincaid? Michael Myers?
Michael Mayer.
Michael Mayer, not Michael Myers. Michael Myers is a completely different person. Michael Mayer is the tight end from Notre Dame. So Michael Mayer is going to Cincinnati Bengals here. And another weapon. Is that what we're agreeing on? I feel like we're agreeing on that, aren't we?
No.
No.
I think with Cincinnati, I think it'll be Dalton Kincaid. I think there's a difference. I think they're more into the pass catching options rather than the blocking tight end. I think that's something that they'd go for. Sorry?
He does both. How dare you?
I know, but I think the problem is that he does more of the pass catch of the blocking type work, and I don't think that is necessarily something that Cincinnati are going to want. And I think they're going to go for more of the pass catching type style. So I think because of that, I think Michael Mayer would have gone ages ago, but I just feel like Dalton Kincaid is probably more the guy for them. But I think tight end is the right place.
It's for you to argue it out. I'm happy going either or, to be honest with you.
It's tight end. Again, it's personal preference on the name. We're getting the position, right? So whoever. They're both extremely good talents. It's the same argument we have with the cornerbacks. It doesn't matter what we go with.
Okay. I think we go with Donkey Cake. There we go. so I would then maybe think about Michael Mayer at this spot at the Saints at 29. But at the same time, they've got a lot of, I don't know, they've got a lot of needs. I don't really know what the Saints want or need. DeJuan Jones makes sense here.
Plot, mate? Can I stop you there? Have you lost the plot?
Oh, they've got Adam Troutman and Juwan Johnson. Yeah. No, that's stupid. Yeah.
And they need front seven desperately, don't they?
They do. Yeah, you're right. This is the Brian Brazil spot then.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. I mean that's fair. Will McDonald would maybe be, or maybe Felix and Unzuroki, but we all sort of want to get Brian Breeze into first round, so we'll let him go there. Philadelphia Eagles at 30, they took Bijan Robinson with their pick at 10. I think this is where they look at the trenches again and do classic moves that they do. Now, it loading a long time on the screen does not fill me full of joy. Hopefully that will work in a second. Even the cat's going crazy for it. She's even angry at the website. So Philadelphia Eagles, I think this is an edge spot.
Oh, it would have, for me, it would have been Kancey or Brizzy if they were still on there. Maybe if the Saints went edge, then it'd be there. But it's going to be a defensive player, isn't it?
I think it might. It depends. It depends who's there. It wouldn't surprise me if it was offensive tackle. I think it's very much O-line, D-line, as we've said before. I think Anton Harrison is still there, isn't he? I know you can't see it, but I think he's still there. Definitely. So I think that he would make sense as someone that you would go for in that respect. So I could see them going for that. It like you say, it's the trenches, whatever it is.
I like trenches as well because I think people, though their O-line is really good, I think people forget about Jason Kelce was maybe going to retire this year. Like there is some older guys on that O-line. There has been some movement on that O-line as well. Some of the guys have gone from there. So, Osiris Torrance would be an interesting pick here, I think, to be honest.
Well, they got Landon Dickerson, didn't they? And Cam Jurgens, haven't they? So, they're kind of two really, really strong youngsters filling in right guard and left guard. I think it's Lane Johnson they're looking to replace now, isn't it? So that's
so Anton Harrison.
Yeah,
if we were able to pick him, Anton Harrison.
To be fair, they're on about Cam Jurgens moving to centre, aren't they, to replace Kelce? That was the replacement. So Osiris Torrance wouldn't be stupid here to play at right guard. But again, I think they go defensive with this pick, and I think maybe Abodawari maybe at this pick. I know that's a reach, but I just think they can reach, can't they? With the players and names that they've got, and it could fit perfectly into that system. So I really, really like that as a pick here. But again, I'm not overly precious on it and happy to go down any line.
Should we go down big Felix line then? Because I said edge to begin with. Andrew agrees. Adam's not so sure, but
No,
I think it'll be O-line, D-line. I really do. Like it's one of the two. So I'm not really like I said, I think Anton Harrison's a good shout. Felix isn't a bad one to go for. So yeah,
I mean, I don't think Felix creeps into the first round.
it's the Eagles.
No,
You
I
want to
mean-
screw him over a little bit, don't you?
I think BJ Ojulari is better than him.
But will BJ Ojulari get into the first round though?
Well, if Felix can, then Ojulari can.
If Felix can, anyone can. Anyone can. Or Will McDonald. Maybe Will McDonald goes to this spot.
no, because he's going to the next spot.
Well, maybe. What did we say? It's Keon White that needs to get in there somewhere, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Georgia Tech edge needs to get in there somewhere. He's one of the 17 players that's been invited to draft night.
So let's go Keon White with the Eagles then. And then Will McDonald to the Chiefs.
Okay. That's fine
You
with
do
me.
not agree?
Well, yeah.
No, it's I mean the website seems to have died on us, so
Brian Brzee broke it.
Brian Brzee
yeah.
broke it.
So have I now got to try and remember all the picks and then
Surely you can scroll up and take a photo of it, and
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
put it on my. So, but basically, what I do every draft day is I get all of us that are in the franchise tag and our close friends that were in fantasy leagues to do their mock draft, and we do a scoring system at night. One of the scoring is also picking 3 teams that may trade. Andrew is obviously going to get at mock draft over to me for me to fill in my very dorky spreadsheet that I have. However, we do need 3 teams that we think may trade. So, Andrew, pick a team for the franchise tag that you think may trade tonight. Just one team.
Cardinals?
You're going to go the Cardinals. Adam, pick one team, please, for the franchise tag.
Texans.
Okay, and I'm going to pick the Eagles. So the Cardinals, the Texans, and the Eagles are of the 3 teams for the franchise tag that we'll be trading when I do my little competition later. Sorry for the site break. I know Brian Brzee, he's a game wrecker. You know what I mean? That's what he does. That's just what he does. He came, he saw, and he broke. Thank you for watching us tonight. Andrew, Adam, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of us with all the mock draft stuff and all the NFL draft build-up what we've done over the last few weeks. It's been really good fun. Hopefully, all of you NFL fans out there will really enjoy tonight. I'm certainly ecstatic and certainly really looking forward to it. So's Andrew, so's Adam. We are going to be the ones who are committed to staying up very late and watching it all, which should be a lot of fun. We may be probably doing some things on social media during the course of the night as well, so feel free to interact. Until then, enjoy tonight. Get the beers in, get the food in. It's going to be a long night, but I hope you all enjoy it. We'll see you again soon.